Baxter, let's keep moving. It's the Penrith Panthers taking on my boys, the Sydney Roosters, Friday night, 8 p.m, Blue Bet Stadium. Baxter, the head-to-head, Penrith, 24-20, completion rates. This kind of shocked me a little bit. And I'm going to jump you in here and I'm going to get your fin on this. Like, every time I watch the Roosters play, I swear our percentage is like 65, 60, 55. And then we get a season average of 75%. So I don't know if we had one or two good games where we just boosted our percentage and it hasn't gone down yet. But obviously the team that holds onto the ball this week will definitely take this game. Penrith, 201 to 153. Points against, the concerning part for the Roosters as well. 117 to 174. But talk to me about the completion rate. How important do you think that is in a game? And then talk to me about the Roosters. They played your boys. They went down. That 153 points scored is the second lowest in the competition. So talk to me about that. Talk to me about the Roosters attack and what you think is going wrong.
Where do you begin for the Roosters? Where is it?
Too many toys, mate. There's too many fancy toys.
No, yeah, maybe. Like, the whole thing is they dropped Sam Walker for a reason so that he could work on his game. Then they bring Manu into 6. Then they bring Paul Marsky, Corey Allen, Drew Hutchinson, whoever to replace Manu at centre. Then Swali, since his announcement to go to rugby, his form's dropped off a cliff, really. He hasn't been playing like the bloke that we've come to love and see on the pitch. So, do you push him back out to the wing? Manu goes back to centre, and then you bring not Paul Walker, Sam Walker into the halves again. Maybe leave Cleary at 7 and you put Walker at 6, because at the moment, to me, Sam Walker plays this sort of reactive football, sort of mimicking Origin football, where it's basically you have A, B, C game plan, but hey, the game's going to throw a F or a G or a double Z that you need to overcome and adapt. And I think Sam Walker likes to play that sort of inside-outside structure sort of thing. He likes to play more outside than inside. And I think Trent wants that sort of inside structural halfback, and I think that's why Cleary has taken that role. But I think maybe too many toys, not enough to play with, not enough time to play with them all. So I wouldn't say we ambushed you, because you watched the game before in the Tigers Dragons. It's clear skies, beautiful weather, and then the heavens opened up and rain fell down and made the game. It could have been Storm Roosters at their peak. It could have been Panthers Storm at their peak. It could have been Storm Rabbits, and you probably see a probably similar scoreline and a game play out the way it did. Just it's wet weather football. The field looked terrible, being Game 7, and I don't know. Maybe everything sort of went our way, and it didn't go the way for you.
I'd say the 1%ers, you one up this in every 1%er. I look at some of the line breaks you made, the tries you scored, and I look at Jackson Paulo gets that ball in the wet, he turns, he runs, he beats one player, and Valentine Holmes chases him down, drags him into touch. He scores that. It's a completely different game, but that's the 1%ers. But Baxter,
he was close to giving up that. He was close to giving up that chase.
But exactly, you think Valentine Holmes, he's playing that at Allianz. He probably doesn't chase that down. He probably does give up and he probably leaves it. But the crowd cheering him on, the away game at a home ground.
I didn't think so, because really, Chad Townsend he kicked it across, and then Chad made this run across and sort of slowed him up, so that Val was sort of there, like Turbo was for Selbo. But
but what I mean is,
he just sort of hit it.
But look at the Sharks game last week or whenever it was you played them. There were so many line breaks where no one chased him. No one even thought, let's try and chase this player down. But Holmes didn't give up on him. He kept chasing him. Chad tried to chase him down. He slowed him down. So I think that's the 1%ers. But We will talk about the Cowboys in a little bit because we are going a little bit long and we haven't even spoken about the Penrith Panthers. So I'll chuck it across to you. Talk to me about their squad, and there it is on the screen.
There's the man that should be wearing the New South Wales jersey in the fullback role, Dylan Edwards. Suna Tarala. Look, mate, sorry, mate. ST, I'm going to call you from now on. And Brian Tull in the wing position, Tyron Peachy and Stephen Crun in the centres. Jerome Law, Nathan Cleary make the halves. Moses Leota, James Harris in the forward role. Mitch Kenny to make the hooker position. Scott Sorensen, Zach Hosking, Isaiah Yeo to round out the second row on lock. Sonny Luke, Lindsay Smith, Spencer Liu, and Jamin Salmon to round out the bench. Jack Cogger to make his 18 HIA jersey position. Luke Garner, Tom Jenkins, Liam Martin, Liam Henry to make the extended bench. Penrith, they looked good last week in match round against the Warriors. You don't have to win pretty. You don't have to blow it off the park. You just have to win by one extra point, and you get those 2 points. But a good scoreline, I think, of 18-8, I believe it was, in the Warriors Panthers game.
I think it was 18-6.
18-6 or 18-8, 18-6, whatever it was. 18-6. It's a nice, comfortable scoreline. You know, as I quickly look at the stats, you know, three tries to one. Not bad stats. You know, possession 53% for the Panthers. You know, 243 runs compared to the 188. You know, they just blew them off the park. I know Warriors don't hate on me, but I understand that you're down on troops, and it was good to see that you only held out Penrith to 18 points. You know, maybe they had some sympathy for you and didn't want to pile on the scoreline, but nonetheless, it was a good game to watch. I think any game in Magic Round was a good game to watch, and they come back fresh firing and ready to take on the Sydney Roosters at $1.50 at the moment.
Yeah, I'll definitely be going into that game as favourites, and I think deservingly so. Even if they weren't at their best, the Roosters are doing a lot worse at the moment, and it is at home. But I still wasn't overly impressed, and I still don't think we've seen the form that this side can get to. Obviously, we've seen in the last 2 years, back-to-back premiers, dominant. They have lost players, but I still think they have a lot of gears to go. So I don't know if that's going to happen now. I don't know if it's going to happen post-Origin. I don't know if they're going to time it perfectly as they're going into finals. But let's be honest, they're going to be in the top four. They're going to be there or thereabouts. They just need to click into form because Jerome Luai is still playing very much below where he has been the last couple of years. And I think that's putting a lot of pressure on Nathan Cleary to step up. But it was good to see. It was an absolute grind. Mr. Spencer Leniu obviously going in at the end to seal the match. The emotion he showed, he's then come out and said, I can't wait to show the Roosters what they're paying for next year. So I expect him to have a massive game here. But let's look at my boys. You've got James Tedesco, Corey Allen, Joseph Suaalii, Billy Smith, Jackson Paulo, Joseph Manu, Luke Keary, Jared Warrior-Hargraves, Brendan Smith, Lindsay Collins, Angus Crichton, Nat Butcher, Victor Radley in the 13 with Drew Hutchinson, Fletcher Baker, Big Satilli, and Matthew Lodge on the bench. Jake Turpin does sit in the 18th man jersey at the moment with Nafua White, Sam Walker, Mr. Katoa, and Terrell May on the extended bench. So, again, we do have injuries. We can't really use it as an excuse because we do have great backups to go in there. I thought Billy Smith in a losing side against the Cowboys was probably our best player, and I believe he did get man of the match from our side only. So I did think it was a great game back from injury. I thought he played brilliant. Hargraves came off the bench, set the tone. Brendan Smith, I don't know if he's our long-term number 9, but I do think he moves into another position come the end of the year. But we do have Drew Hutchinson. We do have Jake Turpin sitting there. So I think it's going to be a tough one. I think at the foot of the mountain, no matter how good Penrith are going, we always seem to lose when we get there. But Baxter, talk to me about this squad. They went up against your boys. We've spoken about it a little bit. Do you think Sam Walker comes into your squad? Do you think it remains the same? And then obviously give me your prediction. I'm going to let you go first on this one.
I would love to see Sam Walker come back into the side. I don't, we touched on it, I think, maybe round 7, round 6 or something about how his defense Was. And yeah, he was poor in the first 2 weeks, and then he really improved, and he really worked on his defence single-handedly. So I'd love to see him come back into this side. I think he may add a little bit of a difference in that defensive line for you guys moving forward. But at the expense, you gotta drop someone. And I like Billy Smith in the centre role. Leave him there. Maybe move Joseph, pull Corey Allen out, put Joseph on the wing, bring Manu back to centre. Sam Walker makes that easy switch to 6, and you just say, Sam, you just play reactive football. Let Luke Keary guide the team around the park. We need to get to the 40-metre line. I need, Sam, I need you to get Jared to get me 10 metres, or I need you to get Matt Lodge to get me 12, or whatever it has to be to move forward. Good to see Victor Adley again not suspended in back-to-back games. I think there is an investigation going on at this current moment. Me and what's his name, Justin Abdo, in close talks about that. So maybe this weekend you find him in the dressing room at the foot of the mountains sometime during this game. But you guys really need to click into gear, because last week was the game where you really needed it. Yeah, you sit 8th at the moment on the ladder, but really take all the 2 points away for those teams that got a bye. You actually sit just outside the 8 on 9th again. You're only 3 points differential outside the 8. So really, if you really want to turn your season around early on, it's only 10 games gone, but and 14 more to go. Yeah, you win this one, you win it comfortably. Even by 10 points or less, you move that. You move more and more inside the 8, because only in front of the Warriors is Titans on a -9. So, and you're at -21. So really, every point counts at the moment, especially on the 2 points and every point you score. So let's see this team score some more tries and go up by 6s.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I think, like you said, there is a few changes you could make to this squad. And I say it week in, week out, I'm going to trust Robinson. If this is how he thinks it's going to go, maybe there's more to it than what we're seeing, because the Roosters, as we know, they can keep things behind closed doors and people don't find out. But like you said, I would love for Sam Walker to come back into this side. I'd love for Joey Manu to go back to the centres. And unfortunately, that would mean that Corey Allen does lose his position. But adding Sam Walker back in kind of takes away the other teams knowing what's happening. 5th play, it's going to Cleary. No one else is kicking. It's going to Cleary. It's going to Cleary. It's going to Cleary. So it's very easy for them to shut down. But I look at last year when we made our run, the teams would slide to cover Kiri and it'd be a throw to the left, and Sam Walker now has the ball and he's putting a kick up, and it's changing the momentum of the game. So it will be interesting to see what happened. I wouldn't be against a Jake Turpin coming in for a Brandon Smith and moving Brandon Smith into Drew Hutchinson's position. I think maybe let's see how he goes off the bench. He did it against South Sydney. He was electric. So maybe we try and adapt to that 20 minutes, 40 minutes, 20 minutes, or whatever it is. But I do think we live in a world where Brandon Smith is struggling to get through 80 minutes. So let's move him to the bench. Let's put Turpin in there, a smaller body, a quicker body from dummy half, and see how it goes. So Baxter, I guess before we move on to predictions, what do you think about that Brandon Smith to the bench with Jake Turpin or Drew Hutchinson starting in at number 9?
Well, I like Turpin. I think he's got a bigger engine, a bigger motor. Comparing Smith, Hutchinson, and Turpin in the 9 position, I think he offers his as I said, he offers a more of an engine to go forward. But Brandon Smith he's got that awareness, he's got that read on the defense when they're trotting back that 10. He can sniff out a little gap in the defense line. And my worry for this is if you do push Smith to the bench and you put Turpin on at 9, do you carry Drew Hutchinson? Do you carry Drew, or do you drop him? Because my question to you then is, let's just say 10 minutes into the game, someone in the back line goes down, who are you reshuffling to cover that spot? Because that's Drew. He's a Mr. Fix It for you guys, and he's good to have on the bench. Now, if you don't have him on the bench, who would you move around?
Well,
Who's that guy you can go to and go, you're just going to have to play that position?
Well, I think you look at who goes down. Like, for example, let's keep the lineup how it is, and let's talk purely about Brandon Smith's going to the 14, Drew's coming out, Jake's going in now. Corey Allen goes down. You move Joseph Suaalii to the win. That's covered. Satili's played centres. He played about 10 games there last year in our 8-game win streak. So you chuck him in the centres. That's covered. Billy Smith goes down. You put Satili in the centres. That's covered. A Sam Walker, for example, goes down. You move Joseph Manu in there. Again, Satili can go into the centres. Angus Crichton's played centres for the Roosters once before. And number 9 goes down. You have the options to shuffle around, okay? Satili isn't a centre out there. He shouldn't be playing centre, but he's proved time and time again he can do a job if it's needed. So I think if you're going to look at the Roosters, we need to score points. Yes, Drew has become the new Mr. Fix-It, but at the moment, we need explosive players. And no disrespect to Drew, he's a Mr. Fix-It. He's not an explosive player that's going to change the game in the Roosters' favour.
Would you go Drew out for Jake just for this game? Just a straight 14 to 18 spot. Just leave Brandon Smith on. Let him absorb that Penrith defensive for the first 25 minutes. Let Jake open it up, and then Brandon Smith comes on for the last 25, 30 minutes or 15, whatever it is in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be against it. I think that's probably the logical answer rather than going, boom, let's shake it up straight away. You just change one player. You give Jake a week. If Jake can't do it, you bring Drew back in. It is what it is. You go from there. But I just think something needs to change. And right now, I don't think we're getting the best out of Brandon Smith past halftime because he's absolutely gassed. So a lot of things can change, but Baxter, I think I know where you're going, but give me a prediction and I'll give you mine.
Well, I'm going for the home team here. I think at home they're going to be solid, especially the price of Sportsbet. Not a sponsor, but will be soon. $1.50 to $2.60. So nice value bet there for whichever way you want to go. But I'll go Penrith 1 to 12. Hey, you always tip your team, and hey,
you know what? I'm going to break that this week. Ooh. I'm going to go Penrith on the 12th in the hope that I do get that wrong, and if not, I get 3 points. But I just think at this stage we're too clunky. Let's be honest. In my tipping, I'm going to have a Roosters tip. Let's be completely honest. I'll be in my tipping, but for the podcast, I just think this Roosters side's still clunky, and I think if this was 5-6 weeks in the future, I might be saying, hey, I think we have a chance. But I'm going to go Penrith 1 to 12. I honestly think it'll get a lot uglier, especially at the foot of the mountain. But let's go Penrith 1 to 12 for both of us and back.